Hey everyone, it is Sean here with the Brassilla, and I've got another horn introduction for you today. So something I hope is going to be a little bit different. The particular instrument I'm talking about today is this one right here. It is a Martin Handcraft standard US model B-flat trumpet. It's quite the mouthful. I'll explain a little bit about this after we've done some sound tests, etc. And I'm also going to explain a little bit about the company history and some of the employees from that particular time period, because I have a fantastic document that ties everything together, and I really doubt that people have seen this document before. It's something that's super rare, and I've only just acquired it in the last kind of 6 months. So without further ado, let's kick into some sound tests. Now, I think this is probably one of the more versatile Martins in the range. You wouldn't have seen these too much because they are quite scarce. They were only made kind of during the 1943 to 45 period, around those kind of 3 years. And they were made in a specific configuration. So the other thing is they're not very common these days. This is probably the third one I've had in maybe 10 years. They're not common because they were used and abused, and they are quite beat up when you do find them. So you need to be prepared to invest in restoring them, typically. So, switch over to the instrument mic. So you can kind of get around on this one relatively easily. I can play nice and soft. Outside the changes there, but you can play it nice and soft. It plays quite powerfully, so I think this tune's kind of appropriate right now because it's on trend and it ties into the era. Let's get the right note first. Forgive my flubs. I only picked this particular piece up this morning, and I'm still shedding it. But the other thing is you can push these a little bit too. So if you're with headphones, turn your headphones down now. I'll give you a second because we'll play a few American Patrol excerpts here. Yeah, so let's try it. So hopefully you get the idea with those few short samples. Fantastic instrument, very versatile. As I say, not very common at all for those reasons. Now, the going back to the design, these are very similar to the Martin Handcraft Imperials. In fact, so are the standards. The difference being is nowhere in the horn is there nickel in the standards. They're all brass instrument, and that's the reason why people that know will gravitate towards them, because they are a little bit darker than their imperial cousins. Apart from that, not a huge lot of differences. These are very similar designs to the early Martin Handcraft Imperials, not the 38, 39 ones with the kind of Art Deco stylings. They were only made, so far as I know, in the silver plate with a gold wash bell. This gold wash bell's a little bit gone. They did used to feature a tuning nut here on the main slide. This is the first thing that you'll find on a lot of these is missing. This particular instrument, it had to be brought back and was brought back quite well by Kevin Powers in Michigan. It's brought back, I call this a playing restoration or a functional restoration, where it's brought back to the point that it plays really well. So we sacrificed some silver plate, for example, on this one, to resolder the braces correctly and get them with less tension, which really makes the horn play well. So a functional restoration versus a full rebuild. Now I was talked about the history of the company and what happened during that period and things. Like I say, these were produced, so far as I can tell, 43 to 45-ish. I have this little document right here. I'll try to focus up on that. This is a brochure that was at a presentation meeting that happened August 22nd, 1944. It says right there. And this is where they... it says the presentation of the Army Navy E Award to the men and women of the Martin Band Instrument Company for excellence in war production. So this is obviously they produced for the military and all the armed forces, Army, Navy. And they were issued with this, and I've seen e-pins and things, you can get those online, but I've never seen a specific brochure from a company dinner. So you have to think that there's probably like 50 people at this dinner tops. For one of these to still remain today is fantastic. I can't believe I have this in my hands. Now the cool thing is, at the back of this, it lists all the officers of the Martin Band Instrument Company. So at the time, so check this out, this is kind of new information to some. The president and general manager was Fred A. Holtz. I think it was pretty well known that Fred Holtz ran the company during many of the formative years. Robert L., I'm going to say this wrong, but Staher, S-T-A-H-R, was the vice president and sales manager. Herman J. Martin was the comptroller. So I'm guessing he might have been part of the Martin family. R.C. Barnley was the secretary. Helen B. Bassett was the treasurer. Alice Dinehart was the assistant treasurer. A.O. Gola was the plant superintendent, and Don O. Reed was the production manager. So that's kind of interesting. And we've got department foremen listed here as well. So we've got Gladys Andrews, Cecil Doty, Ralph Grames, Fred A. Holtz Jr., Henry Kaiser, Haskell Long, Edgar Paulson, John Saltzman, Robert Campfield, Mert Fisher, Leonard Hoke, Carl E. Johnson, Aaron Myers, Hewitt Smith, and Franz Juncker. Yeah, so kind of interesting history. It tells you the significance of the award in this particular brochure. It tells you the program of the presentation, which is kind of cool as well. And the acceptance of award was obviously Fred A. Holtz, the president, accepted the award on behalf of the employees. And the people who receiving token pins for employees is listed here as well. And it's interesting here, they list the band that played the Star Spangled Banner at this particular thing was the Elkhart Municipal Band. So just a really interesting piece of Martin history. But I thought it's really appropriate for this particular video because it ties in directly at that time period with the Handcraft standard. So I hope you enjoyed that. I will. I need to take some photos and get that on the website. It will be listed on the Martin database under the. There's a section there. The title escapes me, but basically published materials. Just going back to this, a couple of things I forgot to mention about this particular horn. You don't have a third ring on this at all, even though the slide does extend. What this is made weight for is so you can put your band liner up here, so that's obviously a functional change. The trim kits on these are specific to this particular instrument. You don't find them on any other trim kits. The Indiana Band Instrument Company trim is probably the closest to this one, and it may even be left over and they're recycled to parts, who knows. Fred A. Holtz was actually the founding member of the Indiana Band Company, which was basically a paper company in the same factory that produced that line of instruments for students, even though they're not. What do you think? I think it's a really interesting instrument. They are super rare to find. It took me a long time to get a pair together. As I say, I have a cornet version and a B-flat trumpet version. Very rare to have those two together. There'll be details on the website about those. You can check out the recognition guides, etc. Once I have all the photos and everything uploaded. So, what do you think? You've got any questions, comments about these? Let me know. Interested in your feedback. If you have any thoughts or ideas, do you have one of these instruments? Are you looking to sell it? Let me know. So until next time, I'm signing off.